All right, let's dive into a different kind of story tonight. This isn't about climbing ladders or reaching new heights. No, this is a story of transformation. It's about how you forge an honest witness out of the shattered pieces of a life. And here's the twist. It's a path that has to go down, way down, before it can ever truly look up. At the very heart of this whole thing is an idea called the inverted journey. So forget everything you've been told about failing upwards. This is a purposeful, deliberate descent. It's a journey that doesn't just tolerate failure, it uses failure as the actual roadmap. So, let's begin. Picture a traveler. They're leaving behind a world of masks, a world of what we might call performative identity. You know, where we all just pretend to be who we think we're supposed to be. Their goal? To find a place of undeniable, unbreakable truth. But yeah, getting there means walking through some pretty dark territory first. And the first stop on this upside-down path is the descent into shadow. Now, this is not a gentle awakening. It is a cold, calculated dismantling of the ego. Everything our traveler thought they were, every belief they've carefully built up, it's all about to be taken apart piece by piece. This first stage has a name, the Valley of Shadows. And it's so important to get this. This valley isn't just some random place of suffering. The material calls it a destructive catalyst. It's a place engineered, designed to shatter our intellectual vanity and that fake self we show to everyone else.
And this really gets to the heart of the illusion, right? The traveler walks into this valley thinking they've made some clever bargain, running on what the Source calls the logic of convenience. They think they're gaming the system, but the reality of the valley is it's a cold, uncaring space, and its only purpose is to shatter that exact kind of certainty.
Now, deep within this Valley of Shadows lies the biggest challenge of all, the uncanny mirror. And let me tell you, this is a confrontation that charges a very, very high price for real vision. Because the enemy here isn't some monster out there in the dark, it's you. So, I want to ask you this, straight up. What if you looked into a mirror and instead of your own face staring back, you saw a perfect, undeniable reflection of every single failure, every compromise, every time you looked the other way? Well, that's the test. That's the mirror.
And this is what makes the mirror so uncanny. See, it doesn't show you what's in front of it. It shows you what's behind you. All those unsettling, unhomely echoes of your past. It forces you to see yourself not as you want to be, but as your history has actually made you. It reflects, as the quote says, the back of your own searching head.
But here's the thing. This incredibly painful confrontation isn't for nothing. All that friction, all that conflict, it creates something. The Source calls it stinging grit. And this grit, this stuff isn't waste. It is the absolute essential raw material that you have to gather for the next and most transformative stage of the entire journey.
So after gathering all that stinging grit in the freezing cold of the valley, the journey takes a hard turn. We're moving from the cold into a searing heat. It's the furnace of revelation. You see, the cold was there to make the ego brittle enough to break. Now the heat is here to forge something new from those broken pieces. Welcome to the lit room.
The process is described almost exactly like a blacksmith at their forge. First, you gather the grit, those shattered remnants of your ego from the valley. Step 2, you apply incredible pressure and heat. Then, you take all those failures, maybe 10,000 of them, and you don't throw them away, you hammer them over and over until they're forged into wisdom. And what comes out of that? A pearl of revelation, pure living honesty.
Under this kind of pressure, the traveler's masks, they finally crack. And this isn't a tragedy, it's a liberation. Because those cracks are the only way the emerald light of reality can finally shine through. It's what reveals the true thing, an honesty so total, it becomes the only ground you have left to stand on.
What actually emerges from this fire is something the Source calls the uncanny synthesis. It's this newfound ability to hold two completely opposing forces in a perfect, stable balance. You've got destructive chaos on one hand and ancient structural order on the other. A real truth is forged from that tension, and it lets the traveler finally move beyond a hollow, performative sanity. So after you emerge from the furnace, you might think the journey's over, but in a lot of ways, it's really just beginning. The traveler has been forged into what's called an honest witness. And the end of the fire? That just marks the beginning of a whole new responsibility, the vigil.
Just pause for a second and think about the scale of what's happened here. 10,000 hells navigated, 10,000 failures faced, collected, and hammered into something unbreakable.
The sheer gravity of what this traveler has been through it's immense.
So, the vigil. It's not about taking a break, it's about being alone with a lit room. What that means is holding a constant, sustained presence with that truth that was so hard to win. It is a lifelong commitment to never, ever turn away from what's been revealed, no matter how hard it is to look at.
And by doing that, the traveler takes on this completely new role. They become an honest witness. And for a world that's still so lost in its own masks and its own pretense, they are a shock to the system. They are a light arriving from a completely unexpected angle, simply because they embody a truth that everyone else has been trying to ignore.
And this brings us to the very end. After the descent, after the mirror, after the furnace, the traveler is left with just one final holy question. It's not, what do I get out of this? It's, what must I do? What responsibility comes with a life that's been stripped of every last illusion, a life that can no longer hide from itself? That's the question the honest witness now has to answer every single day for the rest of their life.